14 years in the National Football League. He's got a red jacket. He's a Patriot Hall of Famer and also a roast great, an absolute great roaster. He is Drew Bledsoe here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Drew?
I'm doing great, Rich, man. It's good to catch up with you.
It was. I didn't see you the night of the roast. We were in the same building, and I'm wondering how many people stop you for that over the last few months, Drew.
You know, it's pretty interesting. That thing became a much bigger phenomenon than I think anybody had anticipated. Just random people that maybe didn't even know who I was before. All of a sudden, be riding by on a bicycle, like, "Hey, great job on the roast." Like, "All right, thanks, man." So it was a bit of a phenomenon, and I'm glad I didn't fall flat on my face.
You definitely didn't do that, man. You definitely didn't. Who did you workshop your lines with?
Yeah, so they had some writers that helped work with us. So I threw a bunch of material at them, and they kind of helped me as much as anything to help organize everything and put it in the right sequence, which was really helpful. The one thing they did that I really appreciate, I didn't know if it was appropriate to throw in stuff about our wine business. The writers were the ones that came up with those bits, and I was like, "Oh, cool. Well, I guess it's cool to promote our biz up there." So that was great. And then I got some good run throughs with my wife and my kids because they were very nervous. They were pretty concerned that I was going to embarrass them. All they hear from me are bad dad jokes and inappropriate comments at inappropriate times. So they were worried about me. So they made me run through the material with them a few times.
Wait a minute. How old are your kids?
26 down to 21.
Okay. All right. Because normally you're putting the kids to bed for the Brady Roast. The kids need to be in a different, forget about bed, they need to be in a different area code for the Brady Roast.
Yeah, my niece, who I think is 13, watched it live with my wife and my sister-in-law. And my sister-in-law was really funny. She said, Molly, why are you laughing? You don't know what that means. She goes, "Mom, I have a phone. I know what that means." You can't shield them too much, I guess.
I have a phone. That's funny. Oh my gosh. I'll be honest with you, Drew, not to get too deep, but screw it. I felt like I was watching, with you and Brady and you and Belichick and Gronk and Belichick and Edelman and Belichick and the two of them with Brady and Randy Moss in there as well. I kind of felt like I was watching a Patriots therapy session where it was a safe space, and you got some stuff off your chest, and a bunch of people got some stuff off their chest that night.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. I think there was some catharsis to it. I guess it would be the right way to put it. Where, I just have always felt like if you can get to a point where you can laugh about something, then that's a very healing thing. So I got to take some digs at Tommy and some digs at Belichick, so I think there was, if you're going to psychoanalyze it, there was some healing that happened during that because we got to laugh at each other a little bit. I think that's a good thing.
And taking it one step further, I think it made the Brady Patriots induction night in Gillette completely free of any awkwardness. It was completely free because of the roast got it all out of the way, and nobody's sitting there going, "Oh, Belichick's back. There's Kraft. He's in Gillette," or "Oh, everybody's together again." It was basically about, the red jacket that night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's right. I hadn't really thought about that piece of it, Rich, because we'd had a good laugh. Then when they did the induction, there wasn't the awkwardness that might have been present, for that special night for Tom, in New England. So I think you're right. I think it did. Look, the other thing that I really appreciated about the roast, if we're going to go a little deeper on that.
Sure.
It was so cool because there was no backlash for any of this stuff. Nobody got canceled coming out of it. And it was like, oh, okay, it's okay to laugh about stuff again. And I think that's an important thing. We got into this this rut for a while where if anybody said something that wasn't totally PC, then they were canceled. And, look, forever, I really have felt, and it was true in an NFL locker room and it's true in life, I think, if you get to a point where you can laugh at the hard stuff, that's a really healing thing. And people understand that, hey, it's okay to laugh about the hard stuff. I think we kind of got back to that. So I think it was actually kind of a culturally important show, in some ways, because we're like, okay, yeah, it's okay to laugh at this stuff, even if it is pretty serious and sometimes hard.
I'm totally with you. Absolutely with you. Drew Bledsoe here on the Rich Eisen Show, hitting the Wayback Machine even further. First time you ever had a conversation with Bill Parcells. When was that, Drew?
First time I ever had a conversation with Bill Parcells was at the scouting combine in Indianapolis. I was still 20, I think, when I met him, because I turned 21 at the scouting combine. Me and Alex Van Pelt, now the OC for the Patriots, spent my 21st birthday at Hooters in Indianapolis, just for the wings, of course. Of course. And the first time I met Parcells, I was still 20 years old, and I went up to meet with him in his hotel room, like one-on-one, right? So it was kind of like a little bit like you're going to meet the Godfather,
Yes.
And it's just two of us talking one-on-one. Here's, big Jersey Bill, and I'm this small town kid from Walla Walla, Washington. I got to sit down with him and try to be impressive so that he'll take me with the first overall pick. It was a pretty intimidating moment, for sure. And I don't recall exactly what we talked about. I think we talked a little football, a little life, a little bit about other stuff that I was into. Apparently I did okay in the interview, so because he still picked me with the first pick. But,
what's your favorite? What's your favorite Parcells story, Drew?
Oh man, well, he was a really funny guy as long as he wasn't talking to you. So, but I just remember, my rookie year, he was such a pain in the ass because he would stand, during team drills, he would stand right behind the offense, like right by my setup point, and I would drop back and he would stand behind me to go, throw it. And so it's like somebody yelling at you in the middle of your golf swing. You're trying to do this thing, and he's yelling at you the whole time. And so, whether it was intentional or not, it made game days a lot easier because he had to be at least 35 yards away from me. So I look forward to game days mostly because I didn't have to deal with him when I was in the middle of a play.
I'm sure he was screaming that on the sideline, though. I'm sure he was screaming the same thing.
Oh, of course, but he was all the way over there. I could just pretend like I didn't hear him.
And then of course the Super Bowl when you played in, it was the general sense. I just remembered. I was on SportsCenter at the time covering this whole thing. That he was gone. There was no question he was gone. Did you know that the Super Bowl that you played?
Yeah, and that was the one thing that was disappointing about that situation, Rich, was that we were the underdogs. We were not supposed to be there. The story should have been about this amazing run that we made to get to the Super Bowl, and instead the storyline the whole week that we all had to answer for was whether or not Parcells was going to the Jets, which was not a very closely kept secret, certainly back then. I can't imagine what it would be like today with all of the different outlets that are out there today. But I just remember that being disappointing. It's like, why can't we talk about the fact that this team that was not supposed to even make the playoffs is in the Super Bowl? Why can't we talk about that, rather than talking about where our coach is going to be next year? So that part kind of sucked. And then of course I had to deal with Reggie White on Super Bowl Sunday, and that part sucked as well too. Love you, Reggie, but it was not enjoyable to play against Reggie.
Drew Bledsoe here on the Rich Eisen Show, and we'll talk about NFL kickoff in a moment. You mentioned Alex Van Pelt moments ago. You go way back with the current OC in New England, and it's just a whole new day. First of all, the fact that the guy who is coordinating the offense actually has a title, right? And that's it for starters. But we all know that it's a whole new situation there, and he has to call Drake Maye a mold of clay is quite an image. But that said, this is a huge moment. Certainly when Mac Jones, as the narrative goes, didn't have over the last couple of years the best setup. Do you think Alex Van Pelt is a good setup for Jerod Mayo with Drake Maye clearly the future, Drew?
Yeah, I really think I've liked what the Patriots have done. Start with Jerod. I think he's a really special dude and is going to be a great coach. I got to spend a bunch of time with him. We went on a trip together. Mr. Kraft took us to Israel, and both Jerod and I were on that trip. I got to spend a week with him. He's almost like a Bond villain. He's an NFL linebacker, but so he's got that physique. But in high school, he was a white hat hacker. So he was a computer nerd. So he'd go break into companies, and then he would tell them how he broke in so they could go fix their problem. So you take an NFL linebacker body and you've got a computer nerd brain, he's sort of like a superhero or Bond villain kind of dude. And he's a great guy. The players all love him. So you start there. And then Alex understands, coaching quarterbacks in a way that I think you can only understand if you played the position. And Alex, I make fun of him all the time. And I tell his guys whenever I'm in one of their meetings, you need to listen to this guy, because here's this 6-foot fat dude that doesn't throw it very hard, that played for 11 seasons in the NFL. He obviously didn't do it based on his physical tools. He did it with his brain. And I think Alex is also really good at understanding, how to set quarterbacks up for success. Meaning, you don't just have your offense and that quarterback has to fit the mold. You take the quarterback that you have and then you build the offense to suit him. And I know that Alex will do a great job of that. I don't think we still know, who's going to be under center in first game, whether that's going to be Jacoby or whether it's going to be Drake. But I think that Alex is going to give Drake Maye his best chance for success, whether that's immediately or whether that's in the future.
Well, what is your opinion on the throwing somebody in the deep end of the pool right away? I mean, at Cincinnati, that's not for the faint of heart. What do you think about that?
That's not an easy way to start. It's such an individual decision, right? It's about looking at your guy and is he ready to do that yet? Some guys are, and some guys need some time. And then you also have to look at your team. Is your team in a place that sets this quarterback up for success as a young guy? For me, I felt like I was ready. And obviously Parcells felt like I was ready. So I started the first game. We had to go play at the Bills, which at that time, that was a very daunting task because they had just come off their third of 4 straight Super Bowls. So I remember being terrified, seeing Bruce Smith come out of the tunnel as I was warming up. Like, man, I don't belong here. I just watched that guy play in the Super Bowl from my dorm room, about like 4 or 5 months ago. But I felt like I was ready for it, and so it's a highly personal thing. And I know that again, back to Alex. I know that Alex will make the best decision both for Drake and for the team. Going into that game, and if he feels like Drake is ready and gives the team the best chance to win, and also can set him up for success in the future, then he'll be under center for that first game. If he's not ready and the team's not ready around him to give him some chance of success, then they'll let him sit and let the veteran play.
Yeah, Marshall Faulk once told me a story, Drew, of going to Rich Stadium in Western New York and standing on the sideline. I think it was he was with the Colts at the time, and standing on the sideline and just noticing the sort of curvature of the field, like it was kind of bubbled up, right, and watching the heat rise off of the turf, and then out of the tunnel, all greased up, was Bruce Smith, and he just felt his stomach drop. Just watching him through the heat rays coming off of the turf there. That's the story.
Oh, dude, it was terrifying. I'm standing there and I see Bruce come down out of the tunnel. And not just Bruce, but you got Darryl Talley, you got Cornelius Bennett, Jim Kelly, one of my heroes, comes running out, and he was at least nice enough to come over and pat me on the butt and say, "Good luck, Rook." I was like, oh, thank you, Mr. Kelly. Can I have your autograph after the game? But yeah, I mean, it was pretty terrifying. And then Bruce put, he was the one that gave me my welcome to the NFL hit.
Uh-oh.
One of those hits that today he would have been fined and thrown out of the game and jail for. And instead, then it was just a legal hit where he put his helmet right between my shoulder blades and they had it in slow-mo. It was a good enough hit that I was the star of his Nike commercial the next year. So yeah, it was crazy stuff, man. So, if Drake's ready for that, then they throw him in. If he's not ready for that, then they don't.
Drew Bledsoe here on the Rich Eisen Show. You got a question for him, TJ, before we get to his business?
Yeah, just real quick. Hey, Drew, I can remember reading a story in Sports Illustrated about you. First or second season in the league, and I want to make sure I have this right. Is it true that after you got your signing bonus and signed your contract, you and your little brother would drive around to different banks and check your ATM and just kind of marvel at how much money you had in there? You went from having like $6 to a couple commas in there. Is that how the story goes?
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, because it was the same bank account that I had in college, right? Which you would call and it would give you the automated, your balance is negative $17.54, and instead, the first installment of my signing bonus was like $1 million and something, and so I called my brother who was in 8th grade or 9th grade at the time, and I told him, like, dude, you got to call this number, and you call it, like, your same automated voice that gave you the negative balance, like, your balance is 1 million. Like, dude, it was.
I'd have done the same thing. I would have done the same exact thing. You're good people, Drew Bledsoe. All right, so what are you doing for NFL Kickoff and Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV?
Yeah, so FanDuel is the partnership. And I've stayed away from the gaming space. Rich, I figure I'm already invested in one vice with our winery, so don't want to promote another vice. But I do appreciate the fact that FanDuel is promoting responsible gaming. This is supposed to be an entertainment thing. It's not supposed to be something that you gamble money that matters. And so they're really embracing that, and that makes me feel comfortable about it. But their promo is really cool. All you got to do is go place a $5 bet, and you get 3 free weeks of Sunday Ticket on YouTube and YouTube TV. And I've been a fan of that move that the NFL made to go over there, just simply because it's a great platform and it always works. I don't mind paying for these streaming platforms, but I want it to work. And that one seems to work really well. So yeah, pretty cool deal. You got to place one bet and you get 3 free weeks of Sunday Ticket.
Well, I'm sure you know the joke, but I'll repeat it anyway. The one that I heard about how to make a small fortune in the wine business. You've heard that joke, Drew?
Start with a large fortune.
That's
yeah,
it.
exactly.
That's it. That's the.
Yeah,
exactly. That's the one. That's the one.
It only took us 7 years to make our first dollar. So we're pretty proud of that. But now it's turned into a good business, and we've got a great team. They're kicking butt for us year after year, and it's actually become a good business for us. But it certainly doesn't happen quickly.
Pinots, what do we got?
Mostly Cabernet is what we're based on. But we're also making some Pinot Noir in the Willamette Valley in Oregon. And then we've got some Chardonnay, we've got some Syrah, we've got a lot of different wines across the board, but the business is based primarily on Cabernet and some Pinot Noir.
Okay. Well, I mean, what's the label's name, Drew? What is it?
Doubleback. Doubleback is the OG. That was the first one, and it's called Doubleback, not because we named it after Tom looking in the mirror, but it's actually named out because I grew up in Walla Walla. And I got to go play in the NFL for a bunch of years. And after I was done, doubled back and came back to my hometown. So the story is about returning home and building something cool in my little tiny hometown.
BledsoeWineEstates.com for double back and everything else. Fantastic. I do like that. And I like the last minute dig at Brady. I kind of dig that too. Drew, well done.
Got to keep throwing blows. You can't just swing once. You got to keep swinging.
I like it. Once you start roasting, you can't stop. It was great to see you up there, man. And seriously, when you said you have to show that you can make fun of yourself, for tone setters, because that's what roasts are about. You have to set a tone. That's why Kevin Hart went hard the minute he started talking last night, because as a roast master, you gotta go hard and let everybody on the stage fill in behind you. But the cold open of the broadcast, where Belichick is there benching you for Brady, was really a tone setter, where it's just like, okay, everything is fair game tonight. This is a third rail subject. Your game. Belichick's there. You're there. He's there. Perfect tone setter, man. That was great.
Yeah, it worked out good, man. And then Kevin and then Jeff Ross. I was kind of worried, like, am I going too hard on this stuff? And then they came out and they went so hard earlier, like, oh yeah, my stuff's totally PG compared to where they went. And so that made it more comfortable as well.
And then Nikki Glazer came out and the whole roof caved in, pretty much. So
it's unbelievable. And she's such a sweetheart. We spent some time at the after party, and she's the nicest person. She introduced me to her boyfriend that she made that awful joke about, and I was like, "Dude, you need a hug." like that was, and he's like, "No, I actually helped write that joke." Like, okay, all right, you're cool with it, I guess. But she's just an incredibly sweet person. But on stage, she is an absolute killer. She was incredible.
Drew, thanks for the time, man. Let's do this more often. Congrats on everything going on with your pal.
Appreciate you, Rich.
You got it. That's Patriots Hall of Famer Drew Bledsoe right here on The Rich Eisen Show. Catch The Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.